looks like I traded a Swede for a Dane today. How are you, Baker?
Yeah.
Nick, unfortunately, is working. So, but the good news is you guys get Baker today for our stream.
And I'm just happy to fill in. I filled in for you yesterday morning, and now I can fill in for Nicholas. It's always nice to be wanted.
Hey, Dylan, thanks for jumping in, giving us a like. You're on mine right now, so make sure you head over to Nick's too and do it as well. We are dual streaming. So, Nick, Starow, Trial Watch. We do this every Tuesday and Saturday at noon, regardless of what's going on. We do Jodi Arias. So today is day 6, the beginning of day 6. I will tell you at the beginning of it, there are some audio issues. Our stream that we're following gives us a heads up, but it's mute for a little bit until it gets going. But yeah, and then when we're all done with this, if you're watching on my stream, you guys will be redirected back to the Texas v. Border Patrol guy. I don't know where Nick has his redirected to, but you guys will find out, I suppose. Yes. Oh yeah. Yeah. Everyone's Dylan's fun. Dylan's a lot of good time over there.
Yeah, he's following Amber Heard, and if you haven't watched that before, he's going through that again. I think he's on verdict watch with the Peterson trial. I just saw that the jurors wanted all the demonstratives that they brought into court. They wanted them into the jury rooms. Well, it's not evidence; it's just a demonstrative. The big boards they have made, they wanted those into the jury rooms. That you have all the evidence, but so
now you
but
need your
go
own
over
research.
go over and give Dylan a sub too. And if you're so inclined, I just hit 202 today, so I'm happy. But I'd be happy for 203.
Right? Yeah, go check out Baker too. I'll put the link in the channel. But we have the beginning of day 6. Shocking photos, it says at the top. So this is the day I think a lot of you have been waiting for. The photos, because especially Salvador. He's been waiting for these photos. Oh my, has he been waiting for these photos. But let's get right into it. The last witness we left off with was a detective talking about a lot of blood and stuff like that. It was a good not a detective, rather, the woman at the crime lab. And her testimony was good. A lot of the questions were speculative, but the answers were not. And again, the amazing thing that I see about this case, this is 10 years ago, is how appropriate the prosecution is compared to some of the cases we see today. So hopefully we get to see more of that. But I believe there was only one witness on the stand, and that is the detective that went through all the photos. So we will get started now. Again, it is muted for a minute, and I'm not sure why. Let me see if I can arrange this a little differently. Do we want this? Let me edit this a touch.
It's funny. She always somehow changes the way she looks. She doesn't look the same from day to day.
You mean Jodi?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Today she looks like a boring librarian, and other days she looks like a businesswoman, and it's funny how much she can change.
Poor Nick is missing out. Yeah, he's like working 12 hours today. He was so mad. He was messaging me yesterday. If you never watched a Jet trial, it was a crazy trial. It's a really good trial. And you should check out Dylan's channel. Oh, here's Nick. Nick is in the chat. Ooh, new government standards. Gotta love Sweden.
Not aware of any.
So what if you're left-handed? Do you still have to click with your right hand?
Yes.
And in this case, that's what we have here, right?
Yes.
So let's say that you click for an image and you want to click or take another image. How does that work? Do you have to push another button?
You have to press. I'm sorry.
Go ahead. Do you have to push another button, or just tell me how it works?
It depends on the setting you have the camera on. Some cameras will give you a setting where you could do repeated photos by pressing onto it and not letting it go. And other cameras, you have to press on it multiple times.
Okay. But do you, in terms of the focusing, is this an automatic focus? Is that how that works, or you know?
It has a setting for automatic focus, which is what's usually the camera.
I'm gonna put it at
So if you just hold it
1.25.
down, you can keep taking photographs? Is that what you're
Yes.
saying?
If it becomes annoying, let me
With
know.
regard to your examination of this, we talked about it being somewhat similar to a computer. Did you actually follow that kind of route for the examination of this camera, or did you do something else?
For the camera, once I had a power cord for it, I connected it via a USB connection
Hey,
to
Troy S.
a right blocker that's connected to the computer. And I tried to see if I was able to obtain anything from the camera memory, and I was not able to.
So you plugged it in, you go to memory, you can't find anything, right? What was the condition of the camera? Was it the condition of the camera, or was it because items were not in there?
I was not able to find any items saved to the internal memory of the camera.
And what was the condition of the camera? We know that had been found in Washington.
So she
What
deleted
was
the
condition of
photos.
camera?
It turned on, and I was able to use it. It was turned on. I was able to turn it on and see that it worked.
Okay, and were any parts of it broken?
I believe the actual button to take the pictures was loose.
Okay, so
So was
how were you
Jodi.
able to determine that?
It kind of moved off of it as I manipulated the camera.
And were there any other items that were off of it? For example, was there any cover in the back that was off of it, anything like that?
No, it looked exactly how it looks now.
This SIM card that we have there,
Can I put down?
with regard to that, if you put water on it, would that affect,
Yeah, but Baker's in the stream with me.
if you
so
put
know how
water
that
on it,
goes.
on the SIM card, would that affect it? In other words, its capabilities and its ability to work or not?
It can.
How about bleach? Would that also affect it?
Yes.
In this case, were you able to look at the camera and see where this SIM card was?
Yes, I was.
Were you the person who actually removed it?
Yes.
And tell me a little bit in terms of its safeguards and protection from moisture. Why don't you tell me a little bit about where the SIM card was located?
The SIM card, well, it's not a SIM card, it's a memory stick, I'm sorry.
Memory stick?
Yeah.
What's the difference between what I've been saying and a SIM card?
It's a similar type of a storage device. A SIM card is more used for phones.
I see. And so this is a memory stick. Go ahead,
Right.
tell me.
And the memory stick, I from my recollection, had like a little cover on it.
It's genitals.
And then it was inside of the camera itself, in the area in the camera where you put the memory card in.
So my question was it protected from water and that sort of thing?
It could have been, yes.
And you have that memory stick there,
Yes.
correct? And what exhibit number is it?
215?
It's actually very small, isn't it?
Yes.
Is that a function of how much it can store, or is it just that it's small because of the camera?
I believe it's more of a function so it could be put.
Salvador, can you, since you're in the county, can you go ahead and get a FOIA request together for Exhibit 215 from the Jodi Arias trial, so we can get access to that memory disc or whatever it is?
In the camera, not take much space in the camera.
So now you have this camera, you've now plugged it in, you're about to start your analysis. What do you do next?
After I was done with the camera itself, then I went on to the actual card,
To the what?
to the memory stick media device.
And what did you do with that? I know that previously you said, well, I would normally make a mirror image and then I would use that for the analysis. Did you do that here or not?
Not exactly the same way now.
No, why?
What happened was I connected the card to a card viewer. Viewer is basically, you can connect multiple different sizes of cards to it, and that's connected to the computer via USB.
Okay.
That also, I have a USB write blocker, which I use. That gets connected, the viewer gets connected into the USB blocker, which is connected to my forensic computer machine. When I try to bring up the card, it wouldn't come up. I checked updates on my hardware blocker to make sure I was completely updated on all the new updates. I restarted the computer, which is what we typically do in the computer world. When something doesn't work, you just restart the computer and see if it works. Tried it again, didn't work. I tried it on my other computers, I had two. I tried it in my partner's computer, it didn't work. At that time, the only alternative I had to try to get an image of it was to actually stick it into, use the card reader and actually connect the card reader directly into my machine.
And were you able to get some results with regard to that?
At that point in time, it did come up and I was able to see it in the computer.
And what were you able to see? Were there items that were there for you to look at that had not been deleted? Were there items there that have been deleted, or was there a combination?
There were a combination of items that I was able to see initially that were not deleted.
So in other words, there were actual photographs
Yes, there
on that memory stick that had not been deleted.
Yes, there were actual active files on the memory card.
But there were also images that had been deleted, right?
Yes, once I went ahead and made an image of the card, a forensic image of the card, I went ahead and used EnCase to look through the card.
I understand that, but there were some images that.
Do you think she knew that this evidence was coming out that day and that's why she dressed that way? Because she's dressed very much like a librarian.
Yeah, maybe, and but I just think she changes every day. I started noticing it, and I think when you stream the third time or something, that she changes her look so much.
Like her hair, her glasses, her outfit, everything looks completely
Yeah.
different every day. You're right. And she looks like a librarian today. And can we just acknowledge this woman's hair, the court reporter's hair? It's amazing.
Or deleted, correct?
Yes.
And with regard to the deletion process involving the camera, how many steps for a person to, let's talk about one image. How many steps would a person have to take in order to, you can take the camera out, to actually delete an image from that camera?
It'll be a 5-step process.
Okay, explain to me why it would be 5 steps.
First step will be to press the playback button, which is located on the.
And I'll just say, yeah, Nicholas is disappointed. We were messaging about that yesterday too. We have been like dropping Easter eggs and these little puzzles for you guys the entire time, and nobody has caught on. We even give you hints. We even, first of all, we didn't say anything. And then we told you that there was something out there, and then we've been giving you hints, and nobody's caught on.
Back of the camera above the little LCD screen that it has.
Have you met your chats?
When you press the playback button, it brings you to the screen on the camera where you can select.
Father.
Where it brings up the screen on the camera, you can see photos on it.
So when it brings up the screen, do you see 1, 2, 3? How many photos do you see, or do you just see one?
It depends on what was. Sometimes it may bring up the last image that was taken.
And it may bring up other images,
Right.
right? What if you want to delete it, not the last image, but an image before that? Do you then have to scroll back, or what do you have to do?
You can scroll back to do that, but you will have to select menu first to then select, which would be the third step to select.
Why are we?
Okay, so we're at the first
going
step.
through
And the first
how
step again.
to handle a camera.
Okay, and then you see.
Well, because she took pictures supposedly during the actual crime, like in the process of murdering him and then dragging his body around, she took pictures. So I think that's why they're going into how you actually take a picture with this camera. There's one picture, in fact, where she's dragging the body, and it appears that at least the state's evidence is, or argument is, that she dropped the camera, it fell upside down, and took a picture because it hit the shutter button. And then you take a picture of her foot and his body and all the blood being dragged down the floor. That's why they're going into it.
Okay, yeah, because it's
then
just
what?
all this technical evidence. It's boring.
Yeah.
What's the next step?
The second step will be to press the menu button, which is located to the right of the LCD screen.
And why would the person need to press the menu button?
That's where you get the option to select delete.
All right, so you've now done that. And when you get the option to delete, are you deleting whole schemes of things, or are you just deleting one image in the way we're describing it here?
Once you hit the button, you select delete, then you have multiple ways of deleting.
Okay, so we're at the menu portion then, right?
Right.
Then what's the next thing that you do?
The next thing will be to select delete from the menu portion. That's step number 3.
So when you select, what are you selecting? What are you trying to get?
You select delete. Once you select delete, then the fourth step will be to determine how you want to delete.
When you say how you want to delete, what are we talking about? I thought you just push the button, delete, it's done.
Well, there's multiple ways of deleting. You can either delete one image, you select one image to delete, you can select multiple images, or you can select the entire folder containing images.
With regard to this camera, and you said it did have deleted items, but it also had items that weren't deleted, right?
Yes.
So do you have an opinion as to whether or not there was a choice as to the individual making a choice to actually delete some and not others?
Objection, foundation, regulation. Sustained.
With regard to this, were all of them deleted?
That was a good
all the
objection.
photos deleted?
No.
Yeah, it's pure
Or only
speculation.
some deleted?
Yes.
And in your process that you're talking about, is that the fourth step, that there is a choice to be made?
Yes.
Then what's the fifth step?
The first step would be deleting the ones that you choose to delete.
So that would be the fifth step, right?
Yes.
Go ahead, do it. How long will it take? Can you do that, or is it not powered up enough for you?
It's not powered up for me to do that, but depending how you do it, for one image, it will take the step process. I have to select it, wait for that to show up. I would have to select menu, then select on delete. Then I will have to go ahead and look at the image and whether I want to do multiple images or one image, and then I have to select delete again.
So you said that there were some deleted images, and there was also some images that were not deleted. The images that were not deleted, did you look at those?
Yes.
And generally, or not generally, but what can you remember that those images or photographs were of?
There were photographs of Mr. Alexander in the shower.
Those were not deleted?
Oh, I'm sorry. I said
I'm talking about the
ones.
not deleted.
Oh, not deleted. I don't know what the images were offhand.
Okay, but you do, there were the ones that were not deleted, correct?
There were quite a few not deleted images.
And with regard to the images that were not deleted, how is it that you go about capturing those in this case? How did you go about doing that?
As far as using my forensic software,
Just how is it that they then turn out to be a picture? You're going through it and then it becomes a picture at some point, right?
right, when I look at it on my software, I select the image view and it shows me all the images. And initially it'll show me all the images that are in there. So I start seeing all the images that were not deleted.
Okay. And with regard to the items that were deleted, were there some that involved Mr. Alexander in the shower?
Yes,
Were there also some nudes that appeared people were involved in some sort of sexual activity?
yes,
Was it a man and a woman?
yes,
And then there were also 3 others that were at the end, right?
yes.
Let's talk about the first set of photographs.
Indigo in the chat.
Yeah, health advice.
Health advice, yes. Proper health advice, Indigo.
Take a look at exhibits 164 through 169.
And Nick asked why we don't pay attention to any clues you drop.
Yes,
And are those
It's because
those
Indigo is
images that
giving health
had-
advice.
that you recovered from the camera, from the deleted space of that camera?
these are images that I recovered from the unallocated space of the camera.
Okay. When I said deleted and you said unallocated, explain to me what's the difference. Does it mean that unallocated, those are not deleted images?
No, it does not mean that, but it's a little different.
Why don't you tell me about it then?
A deleted image in any case is referred as to one that you can recover fully, recovering the entire directory of the file.
Okay.
With an unallocated one, and what I mean by the directory, it means in like a computer, when you're looking at a file, it'll tell you when it was created, and if it was deleted, it'll tell you when. With unallocated space, that part of the file may not be there.
In other words, the time when it was
Right.
deleted isn't there.
Right, the part of the file that contains all that information would not be with the file, and the only thing you may be able to find is the actual image, or you may find sometimes partial images or partial files.
Are you also able to find, with regard to those that are in an unallocated space, are you able to find the date and time that the images were created?
Typically, you may not, but in this case, these images, when you take them with this camera, it embeds the date and time that the camera has set on it to the file itself.
And so with photographs, at least that some of them comes the date and time.
Yes.
And I noticed that some of them are blurry and some of them are not. What's the reason for that?
The blurry ones were thumbnails, and when you make the thumbnail bigger, it becomes blurry.
And you previously explained to us what a thumbnail was, but just so that we're clear, this grouping that you have, does it include both full photographs as well as thumbnails?
Yes, it does.
So if the camera takes a photograph, which is normal size, and it also creates a thumbnail, when is the choice made by the camera to keep the thumbnail versus the larger size photograph? How does that work?
Typically, when you take the photo, both are created by the camera,
Well, in this case, why didn't you get the one that wasn't the thumbnail?
because these images here were all deleted previously.
And so what happens then to the larger version when they're in the deleted or unallocated space?
The deleted ones that are not the same as the thumbnail, were not found with the thumbnail, may have been overwritten by other photos that were placed on the drive. I'm sorry, on the card.
But the thumbnail ones were not.
The thumbnail was not.
So in other words, they both went to the same place, but one of them may.
How many times are we going to say the word thumbnail
Well,
in
yeah,
this
that's
trial,
overwritten.
Nicholas?
Right.
So it's
Your term is
basically,
over. Okay.
Yeah.
Move for the admission of exhibits 164 through 169.
Exhibits 164 through 169 are admitted.
All the sidebars have been removed in this
We're
room.
looking at these photographs, some of them have a date and time on there. Did the photographs, when you recover them, have the date and time on there, or is that something that was recovered as part of the process using the end case report?
the photo itself,
I'm talking about the writing. on
the writing that was created with the end case.
And the date and time also?
The date and time was what date and time end case showed on the photograph. For your image, I'm not sure how that got on.
Well, why don't you just take a look at these and tell me, for example, the date and times on there, where did they come from is a question.
They came from the end case report, the way it's dated.
Okay, great. First of all, let's take a look at Exhibit 164 and start.
Oh, she doesn't want to see this.
What's the date and time for this one?
It's kind of difficult for me to see.
You wanna look at the photograph?
142:53 p.m.
And it does say something about unallocated clusters, doesn't it?
Yes,
We've been talking about unallocated space and that sort of thing. Is that the same thing or is that
Yes.
something else?
that's the same thing.
And then it is an image of a female, correct?
Yes, it is.
Exhibit 166. That's the image of a male, correct?
Yes, it is.
What is this right here?
It was a stand-up walk-in
It
shower.
looks like a bottle of personal KY, I believe, or some lubricant.
And
KY.
what's the date and time on that one?
Whatever did you need that for?
At 1:44:50 p.m.
And then exhibit 165. What's the date and time on that?
6408, 1:44 p.m.
Sir, if we then take a look at exhibit 167, do you see this right here in the foreground? Do you know what that is?
I can't make it out.
If you then take a look at exhibit number 166,
This is
You
at
have any idea what that might
1.25
be?
and it's still going slow.
you
That
know,
one I mentioned earlier.
could it be that same bottle of
It
personal?
could,
Sir,
yeah.
let me get that. Could it be the same bottle of personal lubricant?
That was a good
This
objection.
Item here, what's the top? What color is that?
It's blue.
The bottom down here, what color is that?
It's lighter in color, appears to be white,
Exhibit 166, what's the color of the top?
blue,
And the body, if you will, of it?
white.
This back here is what? You know what that is?
I believe it's a TV.
All right. And why is this so blurry as compared to, for example, exhibit 166?
That one's a thumbnail.
And with regard to a thumbnail, why again is it that these are blurry and the other ones are not?
Because the smaller the image is, when you try to enlarge it, it becomes blurry because of the pixelation of it. So the larger the image, the more leeway you have with making it bigger or making it smaller, and it still seems clear.
Exhibit 168. This is one that's blurry, correct?
Yes,
But do you see this item up here?
yes.
Exhibit 166, the model there. What color does that appear to you to have the same sort of form as the bottle in exhibit 166?
Yes, it does.
It says here, unallocated clusters. How come there's no date and time there?
I was not able to locate a date and time on that one.
But you used the same process for these photographs as you did for the others?
Yes,
For
Exhibit
me or Dave?
169, this one is also from,
unallocated clusters.
we don't know the date and time on that.
No, I do not.
So if we're going to at least look through the timing of this, the first one in terms of time is 1:44:50 p.m., right?
Correct.
I'm sorry, take a look at exhibit 165. That's an earlier time of 1:44, correct?
Yes,
And exhibit 167, the time is what?
1:47:15.
As part of examining the camera, did you also have occasion to find some other photographs of a male that is nude in the shower?
While examining the memory card, yes.
Look at exhibits 141 through 160.
Hi, Gigi.
You recognize them?
Yes,
Were these the items that were also part of the memory stick from this camera that we've been talking about?
yes,
And you were the one that actually pulled them up, correct?
yes, sir.
And the times and the date on there, they also appear on this end case report and then added to the photographs.
Yes.
And just so that we're clear, the time and date, is that something that came from a computer or is that something that came from the memory stick itself?
It was put there by the camera itself when they saved the photo to the camera, to the memory stick.
Look at the edition of exhibit 141.
No pressure. Exhibits 141 through 160 are admitted.
It's a lot of photos.
Take a look at 141. And what's the date and time?
6408 at 5:22:24.
Were you out at
Salvador,
the
there's nude pictures of
Queensboro
Travis.
address, as part of the investigation or not?
Yes,
Did you happen to go upstairs to look where the body was found?
yes,
And do you happen to recognize this shower area?
yes.
Is this the area where the body was found?
From what I was told, I wasn't there when the body was there.
Okay, how about when you were there? And was the body there when you went there or had the body been removed?
I believe it was removed when I saw the shower.
Okay. And the time there is 5:22 and 24 seconds, right?
Yes.
Exhibit number 142 is what time is it on there?
It's at 5:22:36.
By my calculation, that's 12 seconds apart, correct?
Yes.
So hence my question before in terms of the camera. If there's 12 seconds between it, is that a function of the person adjusting for the shot, or is it a function of the camera not requiring some maybe focusing or something? Can you tell at all or not?
It would, to me, it would be more of a function of the person taking the time to take another photo.
And if a person were to take this photograph, the camera, would it, given the way the photographs are taken, would the camera have to be in the right hand or the left hand?
Well, I don't know what
Naturally,
this
you
right
take the
hand,
photo
left
with
hand
the right
thing
hand.
is.
That's the easiest way to do it.
And why do you say that's the easiest way to do it?
Because with the left hand, you have to reach across the other side of the camera with your hand to press
So,
the button.
Because she had the knife in the other hand or
Would you
the
then run the
gun.
danger, if you will, of putting your finger
Oh,
in front
maybe.
of the
Right, you would have to somehow reach over.
exhibit 140. This is at 5.
5:22:54.
And if you look at this one, it seems a lot darker, doesn't it?
Yes.
This camera, you did indicate it had an auto feature, correct?
Yes.
Thanks.
If-
Let me fix that.
One is darker and one is not. What does that indicate to you, whether or not the camera was an auto feature or not? Or does it indicate anything at all?
It may indicate that it was being
Oh,
left. I don't know.
Well, in terms of the lighting, if the lighting hadn't been changed, let's assume that. One
Twyla
is darker like
Carissa,
this than
or
the other.
whatever the name is. Yes, this is
What does
from
that
the
mean
murder
in
night.
terms of the,
I'm sorry, what?
Twyla La Carissa, or what, however that name is pronounced. I can mispronounce them just as well as you. It's from the murder night.
Yep. These are the pictures that she was taking of him in the shower right before the state alleges that she stabbied him.
camera and the settings on it?
The setting could have to change.
And so somebody would have had to change the settings, right?
I don't know. I could take a picture with my left hand, even though I'm right-handed.
Exhibit 144,
Yeah, but the way
this is at what time?
the button also is on this one, you couldn't you couldn't use the left hand.
Yeah, but if she's
if
left-handed,
you-
right, and she's
yeah, you
holding
want-
the camera in her right hand, that leaves her dominant hand to do the stabby.
Yeah, sure.
5:23:00.
And how many seconds later is that?
6.
This is like a scene from Psycho, right? The movie Psycho.
Yeah,
Exhibit 145, what do we see there? Is the exposure, in other words, is the lighting there the same as in the previous two?
It appears to be similar.
And when was this taken?
5:23:24.
Exhibit 146,
I'm typing quickly. Thank you, though. Spot out all of my spelling mistakes.
what time was this taken?
5:23:30.
How many seconds apart?
6.
I'm going to capitalize the T.
How about exhibit 147? What time was it taken?
5:24:30.
And the previous one was taken what time?
5:23:30.
Exhibit 148. See that?
Yes.
I want you to compare it to exhibit 147. In exhibit 147, what side of the face is the person, what side of the face is being photographed?
The right side,
How do you know the
And
image
exhibit
wasn't
148,
flipped,
what
sir?
side?
the left side.
They both appear to be getting wet, don't they?
Yes.
See that right there? And you see that right there?
Yes, I do.
phrasing.
The positioning of the person taking it changed, right? Taking the photograph, it appears, correct?
Sustained.
If, when you were up there, you saw where the
Proper
Shower.
objections, proper sustaining of the
head
objections.
was, right?
Yes.
Mistrials
Did the
like
shower
this.
head position change?
No.
Did you see any other shower head that would have spouted out water or other than that one?
I just saw one shower head.
See the difference in times there. What are they? Can you tell?
I can't read. It's
Bring it
kinda
in.
blurry.
And see it there?
5:24:48,
So how many seconds apart are they?
18.
So he turned around. What's the importance?
I don't know.
It's like this the spider bite. You don't
Exhibit
know which way they're
149.
going.
Maybe they're getting
Yeah,
at.
it's the left side of his head, correct?
Yes.
Someone said in the chat. Let's see. Oh, here we go. If she's less hand,
And the times on
why are
these?
the slashes on the back appearing to go from right to left?
5:24.
Because this is my left hand. It
Well,
goes
I
from
think it
right
says
to
48.
left.
All right, and if
Yeah.
it is 48, how many second differential is that?
4.
Now, if we take a look at Exhibit 150.
Yes. This is the pictures from the camera in
Are you
the
able to tell where the water is coming from?
washing
Yes.
machine.
What part?
It's on the right side of the photo. Upper right.
Pardon?
Oh,
right side
Siri
of the photo.
says it's because they're
Can
saying
you
she
tell
changed
from this how
position.
close the individual was
Uh,
taking this photograph?
But then she
Or
should
is it
be in the
such
shower.
that the photograph has a zoom kind of feature that would prevent you from doing that?
The camera does have zoom, so
Just
I
kink it
wouldn't
on the other side.
know how close they were.
No, because you can see the back part of the shower in
But it
every
is the,
picture.
what side of the face is that?
That's the left side of the face.
And the time?
5:24:56, 5:24:52.
And that's 4 seconds differential, right?
Correct.
Exhibit 151. What is this up here?
Water from the shower.
And do you have any idea what these droplets could be?
It could be from the door, shower door. It could be water that got on the camera lens itself.
Okay. How much, what's the time on this one?
5:25:00.
And the differential between that one and the previous one?
4 seconds.
Exhibit 159.
It's the one thing that's so puzzling to me too. Why she left that
5:29:20.
camera behind.
But again,
Based on what you see there.
what do we
can you tell
always
whether
say
that
in
person's
trials?
standing
It's
or
not the smartest customers who goes to court.
He looks like he's sitting.
That's right.
And the differential between that one and the previous exhibit is how much time?
4 minutes and 20 seconds.
Well, okay.
Yep. She's doing a Letitia Stout there.
Exhibit 160.
Probably because she can't cry, so she doesn't want
What's
the
the time
jury
on
to see
that?
there's no tears.
5 minutes. I'm sorry, 5:30, 30 seconds.
And the previous time was
5:29:20.
Let's take a look at some other exhibits. Exhibit number 158. What's the time there?
It's kind of blurry on my end here.
Let's let me have you look at it.
Oh, it's so slow for a picture day. Come on. This is show and tell. Should be fun.
5:28. I'm sorry. I may need to get glasses. 5:29:12.
Would it be 5:29:12 or something else?
Right, Nicholas? Okay, yes. Let's be
I
technically.
can't tell if that's me or not.
Technically,
I may need to get
Stout
my
is
How
doing
about
it.
5:29? Hold on. Is that 5:29:20?
5:29:20.
On the screen, and this one right here is 5:29:12, right?
Yes.
Exhibit 157 is what time?
5:28:54.
Exhibit 156 is
5:27:28.
Exhibit 155 is what time?
5:27:18.
Exhibit 154 is what?
5:27:12.
It's very good that he left this picture of his face on the overhead, so it's going to be
153 is-
shown every time he changes the picture.
Yeah.
5:26.
He's pretty good.
I've watched ahead a little bit on some of the photograph stuff, and he does that a lot when he wants to emphasize a picture. Pulls the next
smart
picture
thinking.
down and leaves
160
something.
is
5:30:30.
Did you also recover another grouping of photographs from the memory stick of that camera?
Yes, I did.
Letitia like just turned 40, or she's like 41 or something, or 39. She's right around there.
161, 162.
Jody
and
is
163.
44
You recognize those?
Yes.
currently.
Images that you also located in the unallocated portion of that memory stick.
Yes.
Move for the admission of exhibits numbers 161 and 163.
Mass is asking the right question. Which one of Letitia's personalities
Exhibits 161,
age did she
162,
want?
163 are admitted.
Because how old is Maria Sanchez?
And exhibit
Right,
161.
exactly.
What do we look? What do you see there?
It's the ceiling area in the upper wall portion of the bathroom,
What is this over here?
the door frame.
And what is this right here?
It's metal. To me, it looks like the shower area.
It looks what?
It might be the shower area. I'm not sure.
It might be
the shower.
The shower door, you mean?
Yeah.
And the times
64:08 at 5:31:14.
versus the previous exhibit, which is exhibit number 160.
It's at 5:30:30.
It's approximately about 45 seconds apart.
Yes.
All right. When you obtain things or find things in this memory stick, can you tell whether or not the photograph was taken right side up with the camera right side up or the camera right upside down?
I will have to look at the image and I can determine that. Yes.
So you can do that.
Yes.
And you can do that in this case, right?
Yes.
With regard to this particular, before we leave it, this area up here, well, it's a ceiling, right?
Yes.
You don't see any floor, do you know what floor trim is? Do you know
Yes.
what that is? You
What was the
don't- do you
time on
see
this
any floor
photo?
trim anywhere here or anything?
No.
I can't see
Basically
it.
see a ceiling, right?
Yes.
And was this right side up? Was the camera right side up when this picture was snapped? Or was the camera upside down?
Right side up.
I would agree with that, Elsie. I don't think she expected as much blood as she got, too. I don't think people realize how much blood is in the human body, and I think she freaked out. I don't think she thought this all the way through.
It's the typical, you have seen it on TV and believe that gunshots is just small holes in the body and a stab wound is just insta-kill. And in reality, it's just messy as all. Yeah.
So she loves the attention. She wanted to the picture. She asked detective. Well, she asked the detectives about the pictures because the detective, this guy right here, said, we have pictures. And I believe she thought she deleted them. And then she's like, oh, you have pictures. What pictures? Can I see them? And then she ended up going through a book of them. He showed her a couple. I don't think she went through all of them.
Take a look at exhibit 162. First of all, when you recovered this photograph,
So this is an interesting picture. I put by the way, if you guys aren't members and you want to become a member and get access to my Discord, you can. But I put in my Discord a documentary. It's only, maybe 20 minutes or so, but all about this picture. And there's a better image of it. But this is apparently Jodi's foot right here with a sock on it. Her pants, there's a zipper back here on the back of her pants. And that is Travis's dead, bloody body being dragged down the hallway towards the bathroom. And this is where originally it was upside down, and they believe that she dropped the camera and it took a picture. But that's what you're looking at right here. There's a better picture in the documentary.
That would make sense that because you said the shutter button on the camera was loose, so maybe it's the impact has released it.
Yeah, this is where they're like, oh my God, we've got pictures of her actually like committing the crime. This is the picture that they're talking about when they say that.
Were you able to know or tell us whether or not the camera, when it snapped this photograph, was it right side up or was it upside down?
It was upside down
How do you know that?
because
A
when I
couple
looked
of
at the
months, I
original
believe.
image, it was upside down.
And this area down here, can you tell what that is?
That's the floor.
What this is?
There's a stain. It looks like blood.
No, no. Is it the floor? Is it the
Floor.
ceiling?
I'm sorry. Yeah, floor.
Maybe my question was not. And if we take a look
Tile
at,
floor.
I
I'm
know
sorry.
the way the
Take a look at it.
projector worked and the camera picked up on it. It's very dark, but that's why I talk about the documentary that I put together, because it's a much clearer image. And when you look at it, when it's not like a picture of a picture of a picture, it's really crystal clear as to exactly what you're looking at.
exhibit number 161, are we looking at a floor there or not?
Looking at the ceiling.
And you've done this issue with cameras and photographs. How many cases have you worked involved in that?
Numerous cases.
When you say numerous, you've worked on one or two, or how many?
Over 100 cases dealing with different types of media.
And with regard to photographs, you've seen many photographs, I suspect.
Yes.
When I say many, how many are many to you?
It's called like Exhibit 291 or whatever the number of the exhibit was. That's the documentary it's called. But you're a member, so you can go to my Discord and check it out. It's under the Jodi channel.
Hundreds of thousands.
And with regard to those, have you been able to develop an idea, if you will, or an opinion based on that, having viewed all these hundreds of thousands of photographs, as to an opinion as to where that camera was in exhibit 162, in other words?
It's called Jodi Arias Exhibit
Floor or
162.
somewhere
That's
else?
the name of it.
It would have to be off the ground.
And would it have to be right above the ground, higher off the ground? What is your opinion?
At least 3 feet, 2 to 3 feet.
And would that be an area that's waist high?
It could be.
Pussycat, you got to know that Salvador Dali is simping hard for Jodi. Something awful. We just tolerate him.
And the time here is 5:32:16, correct?
Correct.
And if we take a look at exhibit 161, how much time has passed?
Almost a minute.
Give Baker some love too.
Actually, it'd be like a minute and 2 seconds, wouldn't it, I think?
Yes.
Then if we take a look at exhibit 163, what is this down here?
That's the floor baseboard.
And see a mass of some sort, right?
Yes.
And it looks like it has some reddish lines coming down, right?
Yes.
You know, we could just stop right now. I could play the documentary if you wanted. Or should we keep going with these pictures? Keep going with the pictures.
Take a look at
You have
exhibit
to
162.
have something to grift
See any reddish
for the
lines there?
members.
Yes.
Dirk,
Time
welcome.
on this one, and I
We're
think
still
I probably
going
have to do
through
this because it's
some-
really blurry.
We have the shower photos. We have the Jodi Arias dragging photo, Exhibit 162.
531:32.
We haven't gotten to the naked ones yet.
Let me just bring it up closer, maybe.
Oh, there we go. Looks different now.
Let me just.
Matt's
come in.
disappointed.
533:32. Sorry.
All right. And the one before it is what?
532:16.
This one, was it right side up or upside down?
You know, I don't know how many people had cameras back then in 2008 as opposed to your phone that through, your cellular service, it updates the clock wherever you are in the world. But those things, you had to manually set the clock and the date. There was no testimony from this expert that, when we recovered the camera, it had the correct date and time already logged into the memory to authenticate these dates, to say that this is actually when it took place. Because I could take a picture right now on one of my old cameras and say it took place at that exact time and date, just by manipulating the clock settings. It's just something to think about.
Upside down.
And where was the camera, given your expertise when it took exhibit number 163?
On the ground.
How about with regard to exhibit 162, where was the camera when it took that photograph?
On the ground.
And
Part of
again,
your
it's
investigation in this
it's
case,
just
you
like the
also happened to
UTC
examine
clock.
a computer.
Yes.
They always messes up the time because it's on UTC in the new when you do Celebrate and all this stuff. And we just saw it earlier today in the other trial we are covering, where they believe the time was in the morning and it was at night because it's UTC, and I think that's Greenwich Mean Time. It's after,
Right.
so it's always a mess with times in court.
But I don't think there was any foundation established for that. I don't know if the defense is going to get into it. I never watched this trial.
Where was the computer found at the crime
maybe
scene
they
that
will.
you examined?
In the
2008.
office space on the first floor.
2008
With regard
is
to a
when
computer, well,
they bought the camera in 2007. He was stabbed in 2008. The trial is 2013, January 2013 right now.
this computer, were you able to tell whether it was on or off at the time that it was taken by the police?
Prior to me taking it, it was what I call sleep mode.
What is sleep mode?
Basically, when you turn on your computer and it's a setting on it, after a certain amount of time that there's no activity, the monitor would basically shut off. The monitor goes dark.
And what's the purpose of that?
To save battery.
And this was in sleep mode then, right?
Yes.
And is this after a certain period of time that it goes into sleep mode?
It's a setting, yes.
And in examining this, were you able to tell when was the last time that anyone, whoever it may have been, actually did anything with it? Either viewed something, sent something?
Yes.
When was that?
I will have to look at my report.
Go ahead and take, do you have it there? And I'll mark it.
Yes.
So apparently she might have sent a photograph to herself using his computer. Maybe that's what they're getting at. Don't forget to like and subscribe, by the way. Also check out Nicholas, since this is a dual stream with Nicholas Starow, Trial Watch. And then joining us today is not Nicholas, but a Dane, Broken Baker. So if you guys are new here, also check out Broken Baker. He's got a lot of good content as well. And he's covering a couple of cool Danish trials. And he just covered, what was the name of that case? The drug case with all the drug addicts.
The Adam Montgomery case.
Yeah.
Charges.
That's a really interesting case for the witnesses. Oh my God. So go check out Broken Baker.
Report and find it, and then let me know once you do that so that we can continue.
Yeah, I don't know if they do. I didn't watch the trial, but there has been no foundational evidence established with this witness. Although
It shows that
Well, read it to yourself.
we came in late. Remember, there were some audio video issues at the beginning of the stream.
Okay,
So
once you've read it, what time, date and time?
June 4th, 2008, 15:34:49 hours, which is 3:34:49 p.m.
Okay. I may have that. Did you do anything else with regard to this laptop? It was a laptop, right?
Yes.
What else did you do with regard to it?
At the scene, I removed power from it, which is what we do when we seize it.
Right.
You remove power, so there's nothing else, no other activity. I labeled it, and then I packaged it. I believe I returned the following day to take it to the evidence section. and turn
back in
it
the
to
days where you could take the battery out of your
One of the things
laptop,
that
right?
some computers have are that they are password protected. Do you know what that means?
Yes,
What does that mean?
that you need a password to gain access to the computer.
Did you need a password to get into the computer or not?
No,
How is it that you can bypass it?
because I go and look at the actual data on the drive. It's not the same as looking at what you see on your desktop.
Let me go ahead and have that. Did you also have occasion to examine a phone, a telephone?
Yes,
And what kind of telephone was it?
a pocket PC.
And where was the telephone from?
It was also located in the office.
And with regard to that, did you happen to look at the text messages that were on some of them anyway?
Yes,
And when I said some of them, were you able to look at all of them?
no,
And were you able to extract, when you conducted your examination, were you able to extract the text messages from that cell phone?
no.
Why not?
There was no technology at the time that could extract it.
And when we say extract, what do we mean?
Remove it, pull it out.
And put it in a form that we could look at it,
Yes,
like a piece of paper?
either a file or you could print it out to a piece of paper. Yes,
And that was not available at the time, though, right?
no,
But it has since become available, hasn't it?
yes, that's my understanding.
I don't have any questions. Thank you.
Cross-examination.
I was muted. I will say this is weird. So I don't know. Typically, cross-examination is limited to what was discussed on direct. But I kind of previewed this a little bit to kind of see where we were timing wise. And they do some cross and then they go to like redirect again and go into a whole bunch of new stuff, which is really weird. And I'm not sure how we got there. But
Good
we're not
afternoon.
done with this witness. What's that? Oh, I didn't know if you're saying something.
No, I was just wondering what is making all that noise out on my front. I'll be back.
Okay, we'll be here.
Yeah, and if anybody died, Gigi is my she's my witness. I didn't do it.
Okay, that sounds good. Keep your phone with you, Baker.
All right, I want to talk to you first about the camera that you examined, okay?
Yes,
All right, and that camera, when you first got it, you saw that it was in the washer, right?
yes,
And when you saw that it was in the washer, the camera was all in one piece?
yes,
In other words, the memory stick was inside the camera.
yes, it was.
It had not been taken out prior to you or someone else taking it out.
Yes,
And the camera, after you had to buy a plug for it or a power source, right?
yes.
And once you did,
You know what? That's actually a good question. Maybe they had a stipulation that, much like my trial that I streamed, and I'm going to continue to stream, where the cross is not limited to direct for judicial economy. We don't want to say, okay, we're going to limit cross only to direct and then force the other side doing their case in chief to call the witness again. So maybe there was an agreement ahead of time that I just don't know about.
that the camera functioned properly?
As far as it turned on, yes,
Okay, you didn't have any other issues with the camera working?
no,
And in fact, the camera, you just showed it to us today, it's not crushed in any way, right?
no.
It doesn't appear that it was stepped on or kicked?
I
Kicked to
couldn't
ruin?
tell if it was kicked, no.
I'm sorry, kicked to ruin it, in other words. It doesn't appear to be
It doesn't
crushed.
appear to be ruined, no.
Okay. And it doesn't appear that there's nothing actually broken on it, is there?
Other than the button you press to take photos that is missing on it right now.
I'm sorry.
It's missing the button to take.
If the parties stipulate to it, the court can take judicial notice. Or if there was a motion ahead of time and the court made a finding of fact, it could take judicial notice. But that even hasn't been established. Like the court is not giving instructions to the jury that the time is correct or anything.
Photos is
So
not-
it's
it's
just
on.
weird.
It wasn't like that when you examined it, though, right?
There's
When I
no
examined it,
objection.
It fell off the camera. As I was handling the camera, that button that goes on there fell off and I put it with the camera.
All right. And that button sits on the top of the camera, doesn't it?
It's like a rubber button, yes,
Okay. And so if the camera is sitting upside down, as you suggest in those pictures, those last two pictures taken on the floor,
yes,
that button would be hitting the ground, wouldn't it?
yes,
All right. And then the memory stick, there was a memory stick inside the camera.
yes.
And when you got the camera, it wasn't wet, was it?
I could not tell if I was wearing gloves.
Okay. Well, you didn't note anything in your report that it was wet, right?
No.
All right. And same with the memory stick. That didn't appear to be wet either.
Like I said, I don't know if it was wet or not because I couldn't touch it hand to hand. I touched it with gloves on. So if it was moist, I couldn't tell.
Okay. But you looked at it, right?
I didn't see water on it, no.
All right. And you didn't note anything in your report about it being wet.
No,
Didn't smell like bleach, did it?
I can't recall.
Okay. Well, if it smelled weird like that, if it smelled like bleach, you would have noted that in your report, right?
I'm not sure.
Really? If it was something unusual about the camera, you don't think you would have
I don't
noted
want
that?
to be, I don't want to be mean, but there was other smells in that location at the time. I don't think I could smell bleach.
Okay. Well, let's talk about when you didn't actually do your forensic review in the house, right?
No,
Okay. So at some point later, when you're doing your forensic review, you never noticed any funny smell like bleach coming from the camera?
no, not at that time, no.
All right.
What was
And
that?
The memory stick, that also didn't appear to be crushed in any way.
No,
Didn't look like somebody smashed it or anything.
no,
Tried to break it, wasn't bent.
no.
All right, the pictures, I want to talk to you a little bit about the pictures that we just looked at of Mr. Alexander in the shower. Okay?
Yes,
All right. These pictures, it appears, let's see. And I think you noted it in your report too. The pictures begin of Mr. Alexander in the shower at 5:22:24.
yes,
All right, and that's 5:22 in the afternoon
yes,
on June 4th.
that's correct.
And in this time period of 5:22 up till 5:30, there's many pictures taken of Mr. Alexander in the shower, right?
Correct.
And some of his poses are in different places, aren't they? I mean, in different positions?
Different decisions, yes.
Okay.
Well, maybe I
In
misunderstood
other
your
words, he's
question.
able to,
So when the defendant takes the stand and says, "I didn't do it," that's kind of a broad subject, right, on direct examination. So you can kind of go into a lot that discredits the "I didn't do it" statement.
to turn one way and then turn another.
Yes,
And on these pictures, it doesn't appear that he's injured in any way, right?
no,
And at least in the beginning of these pictures, it doesn't appear that he's involved in any altercation, right?
no,
And I know that we can see in some of the pictures, you can see the right side of his face,
yes,
right? And then in other pictures, you can see the left side of his face.
yes,
And that's because he turned around, right?
yes,
And I'm showing you exhibit number 148. Oops. All right, this is exhibit 148 where we see the left side of Mr. Alexander's face.
yes,
And you can see the water running off the back of his head. Is that right?
yes,
And that would be consistent with a faucet being behind him.
yes,
All right, and then also, there were other pictures taken, what appeared to be taken on that day on June 4th, right?
yes,
There's pictures taken earlier in the day.
correct,
And those are those pictures that we saw of Mr. Alexander and some of Miss Arias, the new photos.
yes,
And some,
And those, only some of those were time stamped, right?
from what I recall, yes,
Okay, well, when I
What were we saying?
and some of Miss Arias.
Oh, yes, some of her.
say time stamped, I mean,
Yeah.
only, you were able to get information from the forensic program you used to get those pictures, right?
right, from the data that the camera embedded in the file.
Right, so in other words, the information that's on those pictures, the red writing, that actually comes from your forensic program.
Not the red writing itself, the information does.
Oh, did you put the red writing on it?
No,
Somebody else did then?
I don't know, I didn't put red writing on it, no,
All right, do you disagree that that's the time
No.
of those pictures?
that's the accurate time.
So they are going to go into it. And hello, however you say your name, welcome, welcome. But it's good to know that they are going into this because that was a question I had.
Those pictures.
Oh, Vice Squad raid
Okay, so those
into
pictures.
Nicholas's channel.
We saw them, and I don't think we need to see him again, but obviously there's a picture of Mr. Alexander, right? You can see his face in one of those pictures, do you
Yes.
remember? And obviously there's a picture of Miss Arias in those pictures, right?
Correct,
In at least one of those photos, you can see her face.
correct.
And so anyone, and in those pictures,
Uh-oh. What happened? Uh-oh. Shoot.
And the
Hang on.
differential laptop, it was a laptop, right?
Yes,
What else did you do with regard to it?
you, basically, police department does, you could have snapped photos of each text message if you.
Sorry, guys. I don't know what happened
Number
there.
163, take. All right, and then just over a minute later, at 5:32, 6 time is 5:30 and 30 seconds.
She's getting into the questioning or the timing.
And then at the next picture in the order, ooh, that's hard to see. Can you see the time on that?
yes, 5:31:14,
Okay, 5:31:14, that's the next picture, photo taken, right?
correct,
And I believe you testified on direct that you believe in your expert opinion that that photo is taken about 2 to 3 feet off the ground.
yes, based on the angle that you see,
Okay, and that's based on your experience in dealing with media type of cases, right?
yes,
Okay, and
There we go.
it's blurry, isn't it?
correct,
It appears, because of the blurry and because it's not focused on anything, it appears to be an unintentional picture. Wouldn't you agree?
yes,
All right, now we're back up and running. Sorry about that, guys. I don't know what happened.
All right, and then just over a minute later, at 5:32:16, we're looking at exhibit number 162. And this is the picture where you can see what would appear to be blood or some type of a substance coming down the right-hand side of Mr. Alexander, right?
yes,
And in your report, you said it even appears that he was deceased in this photo.
yes,
And this is just this is just a little over a minute, isn't it, after the unintentional photo of the ceiling?
based on what you, I can't recall the exact time, so I was.
here.
I would
A
take your
minute and
word that
2
it is over a
seconds.
Here, I just want to make sure you know. That
Yes.
one, the ceiling is 531.14.
Baker's better at
Okay.
math.
And then the next picture is 532.16.
I'm pre-low.
Minute and 2 seconds, yes.
Okay, I did the math, right?
Okay.
Okay, just checking because, all right. And when we see the picture of Mr. Alexander on the floor, the one at 532, which is exhibit number 162,
Yes,
you believe in your expert opinion that the camera is on the floor at that time.
yes,
And not only is it on the floor, but it's flipped upside down.
yes.
So if someone even wanted to, they certainly couldn't reach the button to take a photo, right?
No.
Because the button's on the ground.
It will have to be, yes.
Okay. And same thing with the next photo in sequence, which is another picture of the hallway. Exhibit number 163, taken at 5:33:32. That also is where the camera is upside down.
Yes,
And again, if the camera's upside down, then that means that the photo, the button to take the photo is on the ground.
yes.
All right, you talked just briefly about this pocket PC, which is a phone.
Yes,
And
It's at 1.25.
you were able to look at it, right?
yes,
And you were able to power it on?
yes,
And so because you were able to power it on, you were able to look and see if there were text messages and other things on that phone.
yes,
But you said that you weren't able to extract anything off the phone.
correct.
And when you say extract, that's a forensic word, right? More or less?
Yes,
So in other words, you couldn't plug it into anything to download what was on the phone onto something else.
correct.
Jung is
All
on
right,
her lunch
but-
break.
You could have taken pictures of what was on the phone, right?
Welcome.
It depends.
Well, I mean, if you had a camera, which I'm sure Mesa Police Department does, you could have snapped photos of each text message if you wanted to, right?
My recollection, there were over 15,000 text messages on the phone.
So that's quite a few.
Not quite a few, plenty.
Okay, so, but there was nothing stopping you from reviewing that and taking pictures of the text messages.
If I had 8 months to do just that, maybe.
And
Okay, but physically
unexpected.
it's possible, isn't it?
Yeah,
Court
if I was given
appearance.
8 months to do it, yes.
Okay. All right, and then you also looked at a laptop, right?
Yes,
And this was a laptop, when you walked onto the scene, this was the laptop that was in the den.
I was told that was his office, and it was a desk. It looked like an office to me.
Okay,
Yes,
so this office, this was right off the garage entryway, wasn't it?
yes, yes.
And do you remember that next to the office across the hallway was a bathroom?
I don't recall the bathroom. I'm not sure the door was closed, and I just didn't see it.
Okay, but this office was on the first floor, right?
Yes,
And when you walked into the office, this laptop was plugged in? It had a power source?
it did have a power source, yes.
All right, and when we talk about power source, that means it was plugged in, right?
Yes,
And then you were able to do a forensic examination of this particular laptop.
yes,
And when, just so we're specific, this is the laptop. Based on some of the information you found, you believed it belonged to Mr. Alexander, right?
correct.
Welcome, Legal
And it's a
Vices.
compact Prosecution?
Yes,
Okay.
You guys coming back?
One of the things that you have noted in your report, you say product ID and it said virus alert. What does that mean to you?
product ID, it's just the ID.
For everybody joining us from Vice's stream, yes, that is not Nicholas. That is Broken Baker. Instead of a Swede, we have a Dane today because Nicholas, unfortunately, is stuck at work. But we are still covering day 6, and this is the police officer that went through the camera to gather all the juicy photos.
number for, and I have to look at my report to tell you, but
Oh, I think I have it up here. Judge May I approach? Yeah. It's just at the top of that page.
Miss Kate Griff likes a good Danish there, Baker.
Yeah, I'm
yeah, I don't know
just
what
typing
stands
that
for.
I'm a
Usually,
baker, so I make a good
the product
Danish.
ID would be the ID number of the operating system.
So if it says virus alert there, does that mean that there was a virus going on?
It could be that that's just what was written in there. I don't know.
Okay. Did you do any further investigation about it?
I did not see any signs of viruses on the computer, no.
Okay. But I mean, you didn't investigate any further as to what that meant, product ID, virus alert.
By looking at the computer and checking for viruses, which I did not see any.
Okay. Now, the laptop, let's see. Along with the laptop, there was also a bunch of CDs that were taken too from the den.
From his office, yes.
Yes, from the office. And you eventually looked at those CDs as well?
Yes,
And based on your examination, and I'm looking at the middle of the page on your report there, the same page that we just looked at.
okay.
You said based on your examination, the last act,
Council approach, please. Proceed.
All right, Detective, based on your examination, the last activity on that particular laptop was on June 4th, 2008 at about 16:54 in the afternoon, well, 16:54.
Yes,
Okay, and 16:54 is military time for
4:54.
4:54, right?
Yes.
All right, so at about 4:54 in the afternoon, that's the last time that that laptop was accessed?
Last time I saw any signs of activity on it as far as being used.
Okay, so any sign of activity as far as being used, that can be using it to view CDs?
Using it to go on the internet, based on looking at it, I could see that there was activity that someone had to initiate.
Okay, so you could tell that, so you know, in your expertise, in your expert opinion, you know that this laptop was last accessed at almost close to 5 p.m. on June 4th.
Yes,
Okay. And based on the timing of the photos, that would be about 20, 25 minutes prior to the photos beginning, right? The shower photos.
yes,
Okay.
yes.
All right, Detective, you talked a little bit about the photos, some of the photos that you recovered, that they had been deleted, they were actually deleted,
Yes.
but you don't have any knowledge about when they were deleted.
No.
And some of the photos,
You can just tell us all right now. We know everything about Flux. We know everything about Farrell because we stalk her as much as she stalks us.
the photos that were taken in the afternoon, the nude photos,
Yes,
those appeared to be taken by a person, right?
yes.
And based on the timing, there's no reason to believe that they were auto-timed photos, preset photos.
I couldn't tell, but it doesn't appear to be, no.
Okay. And from the angles of the photos, it certainly appears that they were taken by someone else.
Yes,
Thank you. Nothing further.
thank you.
Okay, that was the end of Cross. Where are we going in redirect?
Sir, one of the things that you were asked about was the photograph involving Mr. Alexander and when he was sitting down. Do you remember that one?
Yes,
In fact, it's the last in a series of the photographs of him in the shower, right?
yes,
Let's take it
We
out.
won't tell anybody.
That would be exhibit number 160, right?
yes.
What's the time on that?
5:30.
And then we have another photograph, which is exhibit 161. This is the one that you told us was of the ceiling, right?
Yes,
And the time on that is what?
5:31:14.
So how much time difference is there between that?
A little bit more than a minute.
How about a
Well,
minute?
less, yeah.
Pardon?
About 45 seconds or so.
During that time,
46
during those
seconds.
45 seconds, do you know what was happening?
No.
And let me just look at the camera.
You do math quick, Baker.
Well, I have to.
Okay. With regard to this particular camera, and you said that it was 45 seconds, right?
Yes.
Don't drop it.
Did that take 45 seconds, sir?
You just threw the camera on the ground.
We're going to take the evening recess, the afternoon recess at this time. Ladies and gentlemen, please be back in the designated area at 10 minutes after 3, and we will start promptly at that time.
Oh God, he just threw the camera on the ground. That's amazing.
It's, oh my God, yeah.
The record will show the jury has left the courtroom. All right, your objection.
Judge, one, first of all, it's evidence and it shouldn't be ruined after it's already admitted into evidence and being taken the chance of being broken. Two, it's an improper demonstration. He's testifying instead of actually asking a question.
That's true.
Mr. Martinez.
Don't think that there's any legal precedent that defense counsel has cited for you for the demonstration where something is dropped, because if there were, there would be many instances where people would be sanctioned when items were dropped, whether inadvertently or intentionally on the ground. I would note that in this particular case, there's carpet there. It was dropped from approximately 1 to 2 feet. So there is nothing improper about a camera.
He's
that has been made
testifying. That's
available to the
bullshit.
defense for testing, that has been tested by the state, and there are no more
Yep.
tests to be conducted. So I don't see any legal reason.
Did he get fired
that
too after the case?
Counsel has cited
Different reasons.
indicating that it is improper for the prosecutor to drop the camera as he did.
Judge, the legal reasoning is it's improper for a prosecutor.
Wait, can we just appreciate the fact that he spoke about himself in the third person? So it was completely justified for the prosecutor to drop the camera as he did, was the prosecutor's own statements.
Prosecutor on direct examination to be testifying rather than asking a question. And so when he's dropping the camera, he's trying to demonstrate something, I'm not sure which, but it's testifying rather than asking the detective a question.
Ask me on a
like
grift
how long
stream,
it would
John.
take to fall. Furthermore, the fact that testing has been done on this camera
You're
doesn't
getting
make
into
it
the
any
law
better
tube.
for
You
him
can
to
grift
ruin
anything
evidence
now.
after it's already been admitted. We all know that we can't
Pronouncing
even
names,
draw
talking
on
about
evidence,
evidence.
draw a diagram after it's been admitted, much less break it. And at this point, if there's anything broken on this camera, and now the jury could possibly contribute it to the fact that, well, maybe it was like that at the scene. So I would ask the court to admonish the state to not ruin any evidence that has already been admitted.
All right, your objections noted for the record. The answer of the witness will stand. Mr. Martinez, and all counsel, if you intend to use evidence for demonstrative purposes in the future, please approach the bench first so that if there are any objections, they can be made on the record before you use the evidence in that manner. We're going to take a recess.
Your Honor, we would like to make a record on the mistrial motion for prosecutorial misconduct. Do you want to do that after the break or now?
Let's do it now.
Your Honor, and I do not have the exact date, but in prior pleadings, when Miss Arias had requested copies of the text messages, the state had constant refrain in these things was that we were asking for things that didn't exist. In previous testimony, Detective Melendez was on the stand. He was asked if he looked through these messages.
Mr. Nermi, before you proceed, I'm going to ask the witness to please step down and out of the courtroom while argument is occurring. Please return in approximately 10 minutes.
Just get on with it. I'll be right back.
Witness has left the courtroom. You may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Apart from, again, the state's assertions in their motion that these didn't exist and the resistance of providing these in discovery, and this has been going on for over a year now, just the Detective Melendez on June 18th, 2010, we were in front of Judge Duncan. He was asked, related to text messages and emails, did you look through everything that came up? Is that correct? Yes. But you did not make note of specific content, nor did you print out of any content. He says, is that correct? Either emails or text messages. He says either. He says no. But then again, in the prior testimony in January, he had talked about going through every single email. Here, during the course of this trial, he says he didn't have time to go everything. That would take 8 months. But clearly now the testimony has changed. Based on what Detective Melendez has told us, these text messages existed in 2008 when he first retrieved the phone. That is in direct contrast to the state's prior pleadings and his testimony today.
Thank you, Corn Pope.
Regarding
And
what
welcome.
he did with the text messages is in direct contrast with what he said before. Of most prominence to this situation, of course, is what the state has done in terms of asserting that these messages didn't exist in face of Miss Arias's continued discovery request. And what I would say to you now is, having heard the detective's sworn testimony at trial, that we have deceit on the state's part regarding to the existence of these text messages when they were inquired about back in 2009 and 2010, which motivated
hopping
these
back and forth
in front of Judge Duncan. And Your Honor, we have put forth motions of prosecutorial misconduct in front of Judge Duncan at that time. We have renewed it again now, or excuse me, prior to now, previously in written motions, and I would renew that again. And I think what I would remind the court is, and I can't cite the exact case at this point in time, but one of the things we look for is the cumulative effect of the misconduct.
It is fabulous.
And the misconduct in this case is growing, warranting a mistrial.
Mr. Martinez.
Just so everyone joins us, or that's joining us knows what's going on. Nicholas, who is not with us today, Nick Starow, Baker's filling in for him, and myself. We do Jodi Arias. We are covering Jodi Arias' trial every Tuesday and Saturday at noon Eastern time, 6 p.m. Swedish time. And so Tuesdays are usually our shorter days, and I do have another trial that I'm covering. And when we're done with this, everyone who's in my stream will be redirected back to the other trial, which is the Texas Border Patrol murder case. I don't know where Nicholas's stream is going. I don't know what he got set up for a redirect.
This issue has already been litigated. Not only has it been litigated, it has been litigated ad nauseum before Judge Duncan. And at some point, there has to be a duty of candor that the court has to take notice of on behalf of the defense counsel. Why didn't he cite you? If he's going to make this motion and accuse somebody of,
That would be me.
I was going to say.
I'm trying to be as Scandinavian as Nicholas.
It's working for you.
why doesn't he cite you to the transcript of Detective Melendez? I don't know who he's talking about when he talks about Detective Flores. This issue involves Detective Melendez. Perhaps all Hispanics, their names sound alike to him, but the bottom line
Your Honor, I'm gonna-
with
Oh my God, really? Did you hear that? Okay, I got to back it up a second because I was reading this chat. I don't know. I wasn't necessarily planning on doing a trial. I'm just doing mine. But this is great.
I don't know who he's talking about when he talks about Detective Flores. This issue involves Detective Melendez. Perhaps all Hispanics, their names sound alike to him, but the bottom line
Your Honor, I'm
with regard, I'm not done yet. With regard to this issue, there is a duty of candor, and the duty of candor applies to both sides. This issue was litigated over and over and over again without reference to the transcript. At that time, Detective Melendez indicated that he couldn't get these text messages. He could look at them, but he couldn't get them in the sense that he couldn't extract them so that he could print them out and give them to somebody. That's what he testified to. He also testified that he looked at some of them, but if they wanted him to take photographs, that it would take him too long for him to do that. Subsequent to that, and what is going to be shown on redirect is that technology was developed. After the technology was developed, there was 896 pages of text messages that were obtained. There was approximately between 25 and 30 text messages per page. I don't know if that equals 20 or 30,000 text messages, but it would have been impossible for him to sit there and take a photograph of each text message unless he had months and months to do it, and they were not going to do that. So the bottom line for the state is these motions for reconsideration, where they're highly inflammatory without anything to be backing them up, at some point require a measure from the prosecutor to say other than what he has only said up to this point is let the record speak for itself. The record speaks for itself, and the record speaks for itself, and if there's any deceit, it involves the duty of candor of counsel. Thank you.
Mr. Martinez, I want to make sure I understand what you just said.
Yeah, me too.
When the technology became available, these text messages were retrieved from the phone and made available to defense counsel. Is that correct?
That's true, and that was approximately 2 years ago.
All right, Mr. Nurmi.
What happened in the pleadings, we talked about duty of candor. What
How
happened
is
in
he
the
not
pleadings,
admonished
and
for
I might
that?
add, inflammatory comments regarding from the prosecutor, the defense counsel are totally inappropriate and demonstrative of the continued prosecutorial misconduct that we're experiencing in this case. What the state said, not that there was no technology or anything else, what they said in pleadings, he's right, I don't have the exact pleading right now, but that they didn't exist. We kept asking for them in motion. He said that they did not exist. That was the response from the state. It's seems to be the constant refrain to all this. There was nothing about technology or updates or what have you. As a matter of fact, and I will refer the court back to the testimony in regard to weighting this issue on January 10th of 2010 and April 20th of 2010, because this was subject of much litigation, and the court can go back to the records of those proceedings in front of Judge Duncan. And what we will see is that Detective Melendez did testify to something different now than what he testified to back then. Then he testified to, I looked at a few, I didn't photograph any, there weren't any on there, and I just gave it back to Detective Flores. I didn't take any photographs. He did not talk about seeing all these messages because back then that would have motivated inquiry as to why they weren't handed over. And what we have now that we're in trial, the story changes. And again, Judge, when we talk about candor, we've had demonstration throughout the course of this trial that what was supposedly true to the state when they were asserting a denial of discovery motions in 2010 has now changed in 2013 when we get to trial. And there is a candor problem called prosecutorial misconduct. It is cumulative, and it does warrant a mistrial in this case.
Mr. Nurmi, have you had these text messages for 2 years or approximately 2 years?
Yes, I can't say it was subject to litigation in 2010. I don't know when we got them in 2010. We do have them, but that's not the point. The point is the fact that we're hearing testimony now that they were available in 2008. And in 2010, when this litigation was going on, the state denied their existence. That's the point.
I'm good with that.
They were eventually forced through Judge Duncan's order and through this extensive litigation.
I can remember when
they were
shirts had
eventually ordered to
that
turn those over. But prior to that, they claimed that they did not
neon-like
exist.
color. It was just ugly.
So I'm wondering if Thunder is talking about me or the defense counsel.
I think the defense counsel.
Okay, we'll go with that.
What we heard today was that they did in fact exist in 2008 and when Detective Melendez did his report.
And what prejudice did your client suffer as a result?
Yeah, good question, Judge, right?
Judge, the prejudice to my client, obviously we have Brady violations, Your Honor. We have Brady violations to which I don't, and obviously I haven't had time to read this issue. I don't know that prejudice is required under Brady violation when there is direct hiding of exculpatory evidence. Because we will see later these text messages, and we put it in pleadings, that there are text messages of a sexually graphic nature that are exculpatory that demonstrate the abusive nature of the relationship.
Okay, let me try to get to some of these. All right. Let's see. The suit here. Wait, hang on. Where's Nicholas? Nicholas is actually working today. So we have Broken Baker here. He's a Dane. He's not a Swede, but he's here to fill in for the appropriate accent when required. Here, Baker, with your accent, you can answer this one.
I can't remember. 2016? 2017? 15? I can't remember.
Well, the murder took place in 2008, and the trial started in December of 2012, but we are currently in January of 2013.
So 2012. I knew that. I was just checking if you knew it.
Foghorn Leghorn. I say. Isn't that how he goes?
This caused, I might add, a great deal of delay in this trial because it took months of litigation for the state to turn over what they already had. This is why we're part of the reason why we're doing this trial in 2013 instead of 2010, because we had to litigate it. And once we did, then our experts were confronted with thousands of text messages. There was probably more than 800 pages. I can't speak to that directly, but there were thousands of text messages, emails. I have notebooks full of them, all that needed to be covered because the state back in 2008 did not come forward and provide these to Miss Arias.
All right, well, I obviously did not preside over the evidentiary hearing in 2010, so I will need to go back and look at Judge Duncan's ruling and the pleadings related to that evidentiary hearing. I will give you an opportunity to provide additional support for your motion in the form of transcripts or anything else that you would like the court to review. Same with the state if there's anything else. So I will take your motion for mistrial under advisement, and once I have had an opportunity to look at these materials, I will rule. We're going to take the recess.
Graphic, sexually explicit content follows.
What
During recess, there was an apparent error. One of the units from the multi-camera setup unit that recorded the sexually explicit photos of Arias and Alexander was broadcast on live stream. The photos are extremely graphic. If you do not wish to see them, please do not proceed further. All right. And that is our stream for today. I'm sorry if that was a buzzkill for you all.
This is the blue balls of YouTube.
Right?
You keep teasing. Oh, next time there will be pictures.
Next time there's going to be photos. Next time. I suspect
This is
the Saturday stream will have the photos. We've been streaming for an hour and a half. Tuesday is our short day. We have another trial to get to, and Nicholas isn't with us. Everyone on my stream will be redirected back to the Texas v. Border Patrol murder case, and which we're going to pick up right where we left off. Don't forget, Saturday at noon, we will continue the Jodi Arias case. Saturday at noon Eastern, 6 p.m. Swedish time. Every Saturday and Tuesday, we are streaming Jodi Arias and all of her parts. Maybe
and on Saturday, there would probably perhaps be pictures you want to see.
Right.
Like
Maybe.
all the last 6 times where they teased us. This is not nice.
Oh, so very good. With that, we're gonna call Baker. How'd you like your first Jodi stream?
Again, why do I always get the ones where they're discussing the technical difficulties? I just wanted to see some flesh, and you You teased me and said, well, today we'll be getting into the pictures. And then it was feet pics. I'm not a feet guy. I want the other parts.
You didn't want the feet. You wanted. Well, you had Travis in the shower. Was that not enough?
Well, I'm not saying no. It's he seemed like a nice guy.
All right. So if you're in Nicholas's stream, I don't think you're going to get redirected, but check out my stream, MLS Law Show. If you want to continue with the Border Patrol trial, we're on day 2. And that's been going okay. I don't know, Baker, are you going to join us or are you going to go enjoy the rest of
No,
your
I'm going to make some food because it's 7:30 p.m. So I'm going to have to eat something and maybe I'll drop by later, hang out and chat or come on cam. I don't know. I just have to get something to eat because I'm a bit peckish.
Sure. All right. Well, enjoy. Thanks for joining me this morning's streams and Jodi's stream. And I'm going to leave you guys with the short promo and send you off back to my stream if you're on mine. And if not, check out MLS Law Show for the Border Patrol murder case, which is going on now. We're on day 2. We're going to get caught up. We're going to start where we left off, but we'll get caught up before the end of the day for day 2. And we'll see you guys back here for Jodi Arias on Saturday at noon Eastern, 6 p.m. Swedish time, and then any other time that you guys happen to be living in. So, all right, take care. Bye.
State of Arizona versus Jodi Arias, verdict, count 1. We, the jury, duly impaneled and sworn in the above entitled action upon our oaths, do find the defendant as to count 1, first-degree murder.